what's really being a man in today's society? You feel me? Because I feel like in today's society, we're all told to be the same way, to act the same way, to think the same way. And masculinity is so much more to that. Growing up, you know what I mean, we're told to don't cry, be a man. You know what I mean, go to the gym, get things done, go to work, uh, disregard your emotions, you know? And to be in your divine masculine, you cannot be doing that. I feel like being in your divine masculine takes a few things. You have to be a man of integrity, which means just being true to yourself, being honest with yourself and others. You have to have a purpose and a drive, something that drives you in your life, something that creates stability and balance. You know what I mean? And fulfills you for what you do. You have to take care of yourself and your body. You know, go to the gym. And your body is not just your physical, it's also your mental. So being spiritually in line, meditation, prayer, reading, you know, having, allowing yourself to create that intellect within inside you. Divine masculinity is it's a term that we are not taught about growing up. You know, and divine masculinity is not just being a man. Divine masculinity is also in line with a woman as well, because life is a balance. You have to have that yin and the yang. You have to have a polarity of masculine and the feminine. No, growing up for me, I grew up in the feminine because I grew up in a feminine household. So, and I used to think like, oh man, I wish my father was in my life. You know what I mean? And I still do, of course, but growing up, or the way that I grew up, I developed certain things that most men take years to develop. I was a man that was able to express my emotions, to be vulnerable, to use my intuition, not just my logic. You know, and that took time to develop that because I always had it within me, but I was stuck in, oh, I gotta be a man, like because my father was in life, or I gotta be the man that my grandfather was, or a man that I see on social media, TikTok, YouTube. Like I used to be one of those Andrew Tate stands. Like I never was really like, oh my God, I gotta be him. It was more like, what are you talking about? I can understand that. I kind of want to be that way. And I feel like a lot of men have that state of mindset because in today's society, masculinity is dimmed down. That light is disregarded because it's labeled as toxic masculinity when we are in our essence. And don't get me wrong, there is toxic masculinity in this world. To me, toxic masculinity is not what they tell you though. To me, toxic masculinity is being a man that is untrustworthy, a liar, a manipulator, gaslighter, a dictator, things like that. That is toxic masculinity. But there is a healthy way of being masculine, and that is being in your divine masculinity. For what I've seen and what I've developed and the people that I allow in my life when it comes to divine masculine, I've noticed that they live in a different frequency than others, and that frequency is warranted and it is seen by certain people. And to develop this certain vibration of masculinity, you have to seek it. You have to find like-minded individuals. You have to find the podcast, the YouTube videos. You have to do your research. You have to read. You have to work out. You have to, have your purpose. Seek it, conquer it, and do what you have to do. But in saying that, do not disregard that femininity, that feminine essence, because that is something that we all need in this life. If the masculine is the logical way of thinking or the way of being, and the feminine is the emotional and intuitive way of thinking, then in conjunction, that is just emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence is something that is very important to yourself as an individual. And emotional intelligence is something that we are not taught about. School, life, family members, parents, Nobody teaches us that, you know. And when it comes to femininity, there are four types that I believe that are very important to be in a divine feminine, and that is being intuitive. You know, what I mean, not just using your logical thinking to make decisions, but also, uh, you know, what I mean, thinking things through. And that's also a way of femininity is thinking, feeling, being intuitive, and sensing things that the masculine does not. And the feminine will tell you, or not the feminine, society will tell you that the feminine is weak, and that's wrong. Femininity is powerful. Femininity just leads in a different way than the masculine does. And I saw that growing up from my mother. Now, being a woman who also had to be in her masculine because she had to work multiple jobs or work her ass off feeding two kids. I also saw the feminine side of her, which was nurturing, caring, and loving. You know what I mean? Allowing me to see both sides of the masculine and the feminine, even though she couldn't really teach me how to be in my masculine. When it comes to having both that yin and the yang, it's so important for us to live that way, to seek that in order to find peace within ourselves and in this world. You know, I think a lot of us as people, we tend to feel misjudged, misaligned, or lost because we disregard one side of our essence. You know, I mean, there's a lot of women that I've seen in my life that I've come across who had to walk in their masculine because of the things that happened in their life, or the way they just grew up, you know. And that is, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being a female who is in her masculine. If that's you, then be that way. But don't disregard your other side either. Don't disregard your natural way of being, you know. And it's crazy because I've seen the masculine woman, and I've also seen the feminine woman. I've seen a masculine woman become feminine because they were surrounded by a masculine energy. Being myself, you know, I've seen masculine women become feminine because of how I treated them, how I talked to them, how I interacted with them, and that is so important. It's crazy when you hear that saying, "Oh, you make me feel safe," or "You allow me not to think." That is a crazy feeling, you know, because it shows you that you are doing right and you're living in your truth. You're living in your true divine masculine. It's something that we really should, I guess, put in the forefront of our lives. That divine masculinity and divine femininity. Not people that don't talk about. Most people are just on social media scrolling through Instagram Reels, TikTok, whatever, and it's a bunch of BS. It's a bunch of funny videos or toxicity or whatever. You know, it's usually not informative. And I challenge you to seek that information for yourself. Because I can tell you all these things. I can tell you what a divine masculine is and how to develop it, and a divine feminine, what it is and how to develop it. But it's ultimately up to you to seek that out for yourself, you know. But just understand that is important for your peace and your inner sanctity, to find that balance in order to live free, in order to have a fulfilling life. So in short, divine masculine is being a person who has a purpose, who takes care of their body, who thinks logically, but allows others to give input as well. That their opinion is not above everybody else, that it's not a dictatorship. It's also family oriented in a way of being, you know. Divine femininity is being intuitive, being a person of feelings, allowing your emotions to not run free, but to be articulated in a deep intellectual manner. And they're both important today's society and to balance yourself. So don't disregard anything. Take that time, take that initiative to find a balance between both. Find others who can help you. Read literature, podcasts, YouTube. And as always, stay blessed. Peace.